guys, welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. It's me, Keiko.
And it's me, Jacqueline.
Thank you guys again for coming back another week in a row. We truly appreciate your time. And this week we actually have an awesome topic. So, our topic is going to be about pet peeves. Jacqueline and I have written down a few, and we're going to tell you guys how we feel about them. And you guys probably feel the same way. Jacqueline, do you want to start us off?
Sure, I written a feel, and then as I was writing it, I kind of thought of more. So I don't think this is everything, but one of the pet peeves I absolutely hate is when people shake their legs. I know a lot of people do this, and
Ooh.
I get so upset. It shakes like, and especially if our desk or table is connected and I could feel the shaking, I would just look at that person. It's one of those moments where I would actually interrupt a stranger or somebody and be like, please, can you stop shaking? Because it's an absolute worst one of my, like, I hate it so much when someone shakes. And do you shake your
No,
legs?
I uh I do. I will do it. But I haven't been in that like setting to where I need to shake my leg. I feel like I do it more like at school. When I'm sitting at a desk, I'll shake because it's kind of keeps me awake too. Because I'll fall asleep if I'm sitting in one place for a long time. So I feel like shaking kind of keeps me awake and keeps my focus, but it also makes me more tense at the same time too. I think I use it as a coping mechanism. It's pretty
The
sad.
only time I would shake would be if I'm cold, like, and I'm trying to like keep warm, so I'm kind of like shaking and moving.
Hmm.
But other than that, I'm not shaking. Like the pet peeves with that pet peeve, I really hate it when people just sitting there and they're just shaking. And I would so many times I'll be like, can you please stop? I've told so many people this because I could not stand the feeling. And I'm not sure where it came from. I think there's also like a fear of like earthquakes. So it just be like, what's that? But I just hate that
Mm.
feeling of like there's something around me that's moving and it's like just constant. It's not still, it's not like peaceful, and I don't like it. And I feel it especially in the car when someone is shaking in the car. I'm like, please, please stop. I don't like it. But yeah, that's one of my absolute worst pet peeve that I have. I could not stand that one. What's
I
one of
think I
yours, Keiko?
get you though. Um, well, okay, so out of the many that I wrote down, I would have to say let me start with like the not so bad ones, but I guess one of them would be being told to calm down. I saw it in like when I was like looking it up. And I just thought about it, like, if you tell me to calm down, most likely I'm already riled up at that point and, like, I'm upset. And telling someone to calm down when they're already upset, I feel like is just dumb, because it's just like, no, that's the last thing you want to hear on earth. You get what I mean? Like,
I think that's what I was trying to say is I think the most natural thing to say after someone says calm down is you don't tell me to calm down.
exactly.
I feel like whenever I hear this, like, um, and I hear like, oh, they're like, oh, just calm down. And I'm like, don't tell me to calm down. Like, because there's a reason why you're upset. And you're basically and you're right, it's absolutely condescending because by telling you to calm down, like you're feeling upset over something. But by having that other person tell you to calm down, they're basically dismissing your feeling that whatever you're feeling upset over is not worth
Mhm.
being upset over. And how you react to certain things is different for everybody, but when you're yeah, like that's one thing where I feel like you're being dismissal of your feelings. You're feeling angry for a reason. It's not unless you're unreasonable, but most of the time there's a reason why you're feeling upset. And then by having someone say that, you're just kind of like, okay, you're basically saying I'm being unreasonable right now.
That would definitely be a little pet peeve of mine, but another one that I find is more bothersome would be people that cross the street at a diagonal. Absolutely bothers me. When my mom drops me off for work at times, there's a little crosswalk. It's not like, an actual signal, but it's just one of those little crosswalks, and people just like to cross at a diagonal, and they also take their time. I think that's another like subtopic for that pet peeve would be people that take their time crossing the street. Like, think about it, a car versus a person, like, cross the street as fast as you can. Because I know streets terrify me, like, crossing streets are scary. you don't want to get hit or someone
Mhm.
could not be looking. Yeah, so what, you have the right of way, but a car versus a human who, like, let's be real here. So, it just really bothers me. What would you agree?
But okay, so what would you say the difference is between crossing at a diagonal versus jaywalking? Or are they the same?
Jaywalking? Well, no, no. Jaywalking would just be plain walking where you're not supposed to walk. Walking at a diagonal would just be, you could be in a crosswalk situation or area, not like a legit like, oh, cross now, but just like on the floor, knowing like that's where you're supposed to walk, and knowing that there
Mhm.
are cars waiting for you to like go by, and you still walking at a diagonal absolutely baffles me.
Wait, I'm confused with that. So do you
Like,
mean like walking slowly?
slowly and not straight. Like, if there's a line on the floor, say, have you been to Delamo?
No. Well,
Okay, well,
I can't recall.
in general, when you go to a mall, walking from
Mhm.
either the parking structure or walking from the like parking lot, there's an area where you go into the mall from, right? Like on the floor, you can see
Mhm.
it like walk here. Like that. Instead of going within those lines and just getting from point A to point B, that is what bothers me because it just takes up way more time than is necessary. And most likely, there are several cars behind that car and behind that car that are willing and waiting to go, but you're taking your sweet time and they're just like inching up on you. Because I've seen it where people just start inching up on people as they're crossing the street because they're taking so long and they're not walking straight. Okay, so right now, guys, I'm basically sharing a picture with Jacqueline of a crosswalk so she can understand what I am talking about. So, Jacqueline, if you see this person on this side of the street and this side, instead of them walking straight like that and see how there's a car waiting there,
Mhm.
say if say if this person in the red right here was no, actually, no, because that'd throw you off. Say if this person right here is crossing like over here, for example. So they're crossing diagonal, which means this car definitely
Oh.
can't go because this person is getting closer to them. Instead of hurrying up and getting from one side of the street to the other so this car can go straight, it crosses diagonal. Can you see how that would be very bothersome?
Yeah.
Like, it drives me
Okay, I know
insane
what you're
because it's
saying.
inconsiderate of others. My, like, one that bothers me probably the most, that happens the most frequent, would be hearing people eat. I absolutely can't stand it. And it's not me being rude, like, don't eat around me. It's more like, um, it's not even like chew with your mouth closed. It's not like that either. It's just hearing people eat or crunch, even if their mouths are completely closed and they're being polite, just hearing it bothers me. And my mom, I can always hear her eating, and then she's not being rude or anything. Like no one's being rude, but just I can hear it. And she even knows it bothers me. So sometimes when I'm eating with her, she'll be like, "Well, put a video on or like turn the music up because I'm gonna be crunching or I'm gonna be eating this." So does that ever bother you, or is that just me?
I think it's just you. I think I've heard it. I think I've seen this before. I'm kind of like whatever. I don't really pay attention. I'm pretty good at like just um omitting like certain sounds and not if I'm not paying attention to it, I don't hear it. I just
So
like
if Mitchell's
block it out of my
eating, it
head.
doesn't bother you.
No,
Wow.
yeah, I block it out
Wow.
of my mind. Like I don't hear it. If I want to, I could block things out of my head if I'm not focusing on it. So I'm
Wow.
just so not aware. I could just like you could be talking to me, and if I'm just like, okay, I don't want to listen to this, I just stop listening to you.
That's pretty
Yeah,
good. That's
I'm pretty
impressive.
good at blocking certain sound out. I'm just kind of like, okay, but I'm not good if it's sudden sounds. Like if it's
Hmm.
suddenly like a sound come on, I'm just gonna be like a dog with my ear up. I'm like, what's that? But if it's like a constant thing, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna stop listening to this now.
See, now I feel weird that hearing people eat only bothers me. I feel like it bothers other people. It just makes me go insane. I don't know why though. I don't know why. I think it's just a quirk. But that's honestly all the ones I could think of right now, and I know you have a bigger list, so let's hear yours.
Well, I have a few more. Like I know I have more because I'm just bothered by a lot of things, but I can't think of anything right now. But besides, like just these few that I have. So the next one I have is whenever I see someone's like email inbox is being full, like there's stuff inside. Like I see that
Mm,
notification, and then sometimes like I see it, through Zoom now because someone would be sharing their screen and I could see their email box and it'll be like 25. Or when someone like I'm looking at their phone and I could see their mail and it'll be like 1,500 and I'm like, what are you doing? Just delete those emails. Like I have like I think like 6 or 7 emails on my phone, like email accounts on my phone, but I check those and if I don't use it, I delete them. Because I also check my spam. I'm one to like make sure like everything is read and I make sure everything is like deleted if not needed, and I
wow.
just can't stand seeing the numbers. Some people I would see like 1,000. I'm like, how can you not have checked thousands of emails? And then they'll be like, oh, it's just, spam or something. I'm like, well, delete those. Doesn't it bother you? How do you find anything with like thousands of emails in your email accounts? What's your number on your email right now, Keiko?
6,361.
Oh my gosh. I would die. I would be like, do
That's
you want me
one
to
of
go through
them.
your email for you and like delete them?
I mean, you could, cause see, the
Oh
way I
my
think about it
gosh.
is I don't have to open all of them because that's why there's a subject form, like a subject header on emails. You just have to see the subject. And if I don't need like say, okay, for right now, I see some for Indeed, I see some for um what mostly of them are Indeed and then this thing called Stash, one for Nextdoor, etc. I don't need to open them because I don't care about them. And I don't delete them because the pages will just just go into the next page. All I focus on is like the first page I see on my emails. Like when I open
What
up
if you're
the
trying to
thing.
find something?
I That's why I star things. If it's important to me, like a delivery date from an Amazon order or a coupon that I like, but usually I don't really keep coupons or just any important email that I get sent, I star it. So everything's in a certain category. So when I go to the starred, all my stuff that I care about is in there. That's kind of
Why
how
don't
I
you just
keep the
delete
order of
them?
it because
Why
I'm
don't you
too
just delete
lazy to. So do you have like no
if bec
emails?
No, I have emails because I have to keep certain ones, like with
Right.
certain accounts and then work emails, ones that I need like receipts, certain things, and then when there's certain things too, like I delete once I have to use, I no longer need, but
Mhm.
like I have bills in here I keep to make sure like so it's an easy way for me to look to with bills. It'll send me
Right.
an email and I'll keep it there, and then I know that the moment I delete it, it means I paid it off. So because I'm constantly on my email, I check it so often I could see it. So I have emails in here. It's just the yeah, I have things till like 2014 and I could just see it all in like a page or two. Like I have 6 emails and I could just scroll through it really quickly because I don't have
Mm,
6,000 emails waiting for me to scroll through it.
I get you. But see, the way I keep order is just by starring them.
I
Because at this
don't know.
point,
I
like,
just feel
that's
like,
the easiest thing.
but then how do you know what's important out of all that? Because then I would star the one that I feel is important out of the one that I keep too.
Mm, Sometimes I unstar. Like right now, I only have a good amount of like starred things. 261 emails that
Oh
are
my gosh.
starred.
Oof.
But
Oof.
honestly, they're all like orders. So one of them's in when I bought something from the NBA store, when I got a coupon for $5 Fridays at Bonds, a coupon, because I wanna make sure I keep those coupons so when I go to the stores, I can bring up coupons easy, and then, like, order confirmations, all of those, and then what yeah, a lot of them are order confirmations and stuff about school or just important paper or important emails that I get sent, um, like onboarding during work and stuff like that, or, like, tax stuff. I'll, like, save that stuff, but that's about it. And then I'll know. Like, honestly, some of them I don't need, some of them aren't important. Like, do I need a $2 flatbread for National Pizza Day? Probably not. Does it need to be starred? Probably not. But something like pay your credit card for Victoria's Secret should be starred, you know?
Oh, maybe because I also have work email on there too.
Yeah.
Because there's
You have a
things I
lot.
keep because it's like there's a lot for that. But then there's things I keep because I was like, I'm gonna need eventually, um, along the road, like certain password. Like I was certain things I have like accounts for because I was like the username I can't remember, so I keep them sometimes.
Mhm.
Um, but other than that, like I delete my email, and then I hate when there's spam email too. So usually when I get emails that are spam, did you know that when you go in the emails, like you can open it up, and at the very bottom there's a button that you can click to unsubscribe
Oh, I do
so
that
they
all
could
the
stop
time.
spam that. I do that too because I'm just like, no, you're making me like, um, you're making my inbox full, so that I get really
Mhm.
annoyed whenever I get these things. I would unsubscribe, 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 just so that I only receive email when needed, so I don't have so many. And then when I have an email, I check it because I'm just like, oh, there's a red, there's a one on the email, so I check it right away
I think that's the
because I don't
probably
like
the
it.
best thing I discovered last year was the unsubscribe button on the bottom of emails
Yes.
because I kept getting ones from places I don't know how they even got my information for or
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to keep spending money. So when I would go to my
Yeah.
promotions on Gmail, you know how it's primary, social, and promotions?
Mm-hmm.
I'd go to the promotions category constantly this store, that store, this store, that store, this coupon, that coupon. And for me in my head, yeah, I can be like, well, I'm not gonna buy anything, but I don't need that in a way like temptation there. So
Mm-hmm.
I just one day or a lot of days actually, I just started going through seeing, okay, do I really need to be notified every time? I don't know. I think I unsubscribed from like I unsubscribed from a lot of different stores from Gap, Old Navy, all those I didn't need because they
Mm-hmm.
have such good coupons or sales all the time, which is super enticing. Like that's the whole point, of like
Mm-hmm.
the promotions category in here to get me to buy stuff, and I'm like, I don't need it. So I feel like it's just dumb because Groupon has so many things that it's kind of like unnecessary, and they just want you to spend money essentially.
Yeah.
I hate Groupon.
Unsubscribe. So if you guys, the listeners, if you guys do not know this, you guys could actually unsubscribe to emails. Certain like companies and everything, they send out promotional emails. At the bottom, it will be like, if you wish to unsubscribe, click here, and if you click it, you'll be taken off their list, and they wouldn't email you anymore. So that has really helped for some of the emails I got that just kept sending me stuff every single day. And by unsubscribing to a lot of these emails, I reduce the amount of emails I get. So the one that I do get, I'm able to delete or save, and then my inbox is empty. And I do not like seeing like full email inboxes. So
I
that's
agree.
another one of my pet peeves with that. Because I'll be like, you want me to help you delete your emails for you? And then I would just sit there and delete. And I'm like, okay, I feel so much better now. Um, all right, moving on to the next one I have is people picking food for me. I don't know. I think
Mm.
I don't like it when people try to be like, "Oh, here, have this." And they try to like give me food, and I know they're trying to be nice, but the thing is I'm such a picky eater. I don't like
Mm.
most of the food out there. So when people are like, "Yeah, here, try this. Oh, here, I say this for," they try to give me food, or they pick food. They're like, "Oh, maybe when we're eating Asian style, you might be eating family style with like food, the meals in the middle, and you would pick out of it together." And people who with do it and they put it on my bowl or my plate. I don't like that. I'd be like, how do you know I want to eat that next? Maybe I want to eat something else next. Why did you pick that and put it on my bowl? Like I wouldn't have picked that myself. If I wanted, I could get it myself. I don't need you to get it for me. So it's kind of like that where I'm just a very picky eater. So when people put it on, like I just feel or give it to me, I feel like I have to eat it. And I'm just like, ugh, what if I don't like it? That's the
Mhm.
problem.
I
So
can
I
I
I
can see
mean,
that. Like I understand it.
I feel like you also have like a distinct taste of what you want to eat too. So
Definitely,
if
I'm
I feel like
picky.
you might react the same way if someone were like, "Oh, here," and then you're like, "No, thank you."
Well, sometimes I just know like I definitely don't want to try anything because like again, I'm
Mhm.
picky and like my palate is picky too. Like again, certain tastes I'm not gonna want to try. Like I know I'm not gonna want to try. Yes, I like trying new things, but sometimes you just don't want to
Mhm.
because you're either it's not the time or you just don't want to. Like you shouldn't be forced to eat anything. Simple as that.
Yeah. But that kind of comes into like another pet peeve that I have, which I feel so bad about, is people insisting that I take their gifts. And I think it's like an Asian thing with like, especially like because I'm Vietnamese and a lot of my
Mhm.
families that I work with, my students, they're Vietnamese too. So a lot of in the culture, it's just something to give like fruits and food as a way to be like
Mhm.
thankful. They're just like thankful that I'm working with their child. But then they
Of
would
course.
always give me these food. They're like, okay, I bought you these food. Here it is. Oh, I got you some snack. Oh, it's a holiday. Our family grows these fruits, and then they'll give me things. And I mean, it's super nice that they think of me and they give me things. But then I'm just like, I don't want it because I'm just so picky with it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what am I supposed to do with it? Um, or when they think I'm just being polite, where they're like, "Yeah, try this. It's very good." And I'm like, "Oh, no, no, it's okay." And they're like, "No, no, don't be polite with us, like we treat you like family. Here, try this food. Like, we bought this for you." And I'm just like, "Oh, geez." Because I don't want to eat it. And it's not like I'm trying to be polite. I really don't want it. But
Mhm.
um, I was trying to find a way so that they just take it back, but they think I'm trying to be polite by saying I don't want it because they're like, "Oh, here's a gift," but I'm really like, "No, I really don't want it, please." And then like they're like, "No, no," and then so I end up just like at this point, I just take whatever food I get and I just bring it home to like my grandparents,
Yeah,
or my
I mean,
parents. I'm just like,
avoid a situation too.
I'm like, "Here you go." Like I just got a gift today because one of my students wanted to stop by and they were like, "Oh, we got you a gift because the Lunar New Year is here." So
Mhm.
they got me something for Lunar New Year, and then they got me something and they got me a snack. It was like some kind of like dessert of some kind, but it was a red bean and durian cake,
Oh,
and I'm like,
durian?
"Ooh, yes." And I was like,
It's
I'm not a
um,
fit because I'm actually just not, I mean, any kind of fruit or vegetable fan. But I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm just like, "Oh, okay, I'll bring this in my head." I'm like, I'm gonna bring this home to my grandpa. Like, because I just take it now. I don't say anything anymore. I'm just like, okay, just take it. And then I just give it to my grandparents. So I get a lot of these like Asian gifts and Asian food gifts, but I'm actually really picky about which Asian food I eat.
Mhm.
There's certain ones that I love, and there's certain ones that I really do not like, and there's certain one I just don't want to try. Like the durian one, I'm just like, I don't want to try that. It doesn't. I never eaten that cake before, but I'm just like, I don't want to try it. So I'm gonna be bringing it home to my grandpa tomorrow. That's what I'm doing.
Well, isn't it weird that they're also giving you food though? Like,
Not really. It's in the culture.
well, yeah, but
It's a
right
big
now
culture thing. I guess it's
with
packaged. It was packaged. It was a packaged
oh,
one.
okay, good, good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
And
only
I mean,
like I understand culture, but like that's the only thing that I'm saying is just like food during this
they're
time
not
is never
making
supposed to
it.
be.
Yeah, they're not making it.
Yeah,
Um,
well, that's good.
If anything, they do give me, like, the fruits they have grown in their backyard. I have a
Mhm.
lot of those too. But usually
You
they don't make the food. They would just get packaged food. They go and they buy something for me. Like if they were to be like, oh, we got you this 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 drink, or we got you this snack that like when we were out, and then because they'd come by to pick up their homework or something like that. And I have if I'm happen to be at school, they'd be like, oh, are you at school? Can we drop off some snacks for you? We got some snacks for you. And I'm like, okay, thank you. So they're
Mhm.
really nice. Like the families that I work with are really nice, and usually it's my Vietnamese families that are doing that mostly because I am Vietnamese. They would try to like give
Mhm.
the gifts like that in food, but I just don't like a lot of them. So I just take it and I just thank them, and then I just take it home.
Well,
That's what I
that's
do with
nice
them.
of them. You were just like, "Thanks, I guess."
I mean,
I mean,
I'm
that's nice
very
they're
thankful.
thinking
I
of
mean,
you.
yeah, I mean, I'm glad they think of me, and they don't have to do that. That's the thing. I don't want them to think that they have to do that for anything, because I treat the kid the same no matter what. Um,
Yeah.
if you want, like, even if they just give me a card, that's fine. It doesn't need to be like a gift, but it is in the culture to just do that for
Mhm.
gratitude and everything. Um, I think the last one that I written down for my pet peeve, I only have one more because that's the only one I could think of right now, is when you are willing to pay for someone, you're like, okay, no worries, I got this meal. And then they're like, no, no, like, don't worry, I got this. And then you're like, no, no, I got this. The back and forth, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't like it when I tell the person, like, don't worry, I got this. I'm going to pay for it. And they're like, no, no, I'm going to pay for my own meal. And they give you the money, but it's not enough. I hate that.
Oh,
It's the
wait, so,
weirdest
like,
thing.
you still have to pay for them?
Yes. So
That's so
I don't
awkward.
mind. There's so many situations where like, cause no, like you go and you buy food. You're like, okay, like you go and you buy the food and then you drop it off for them. You did the pickup,
Mhm.
and you're like, okay, and they're like, oh, how much was it? For their part, and you're like, no, no, don't worry. I got this. I'm gonna cover for you. Like this is my, I'm treating you out, kind of thing. And they're like,
Mhm.
no, don't do that. Like, don't. How much did this cost? I'll pay for their part. And
Right.
then I would deny it because I have no problem paying for them. But then they would be like, "Oh, okay." And then they're like, "No, I'm gonna pay." And then they give you only partial. Like,
That's so
let
awkward.
me give you an example. Let me give you an example of
No, I
I
get
had a
you, though.
coworker. I was gonna go get Costco pizza for lunch. I was gonna get
Mhm.
slices because I was like, "Oh, they're big, and they're like a dollar fifth. No, like a no, a couple dollars.
Yeah,
Anyway,
super cheap.
super cheap. So I was like, okay, I'll get it. And I'm like, do you want any? She's like, yeah, I'll get a slice. And I'm like, okay, I went, got the pizza, I brought it back, and she was like, oh, how much for her pizza? And I was like, no, it's okay. It's so cheap. I'm gonna cover it. It's fine. It's my treat. And she was like, no, that's not right. I'm gonna pay for my food. And then she goes and she hands me like, like a dollar or two. And I'm like, ooh, it was a little more than that. So I
You're
just
like,
get so I mean, I don't mind covering the whole thing. Either you pay the whole thing or you don't pay anything at all because I cover for you.
I get
I don't
you.
like when they try to be like, "No, I'm gonna pay for my own food," but then they only give you like not enough because they didn't think of tax or tip, or they didn't think of like how much it really is, and they just paid you like, let's say it was $10, they only give you like eight, and you're just like, no, if I say it was fine, it's fine. I'd rather you just take the food, it's my treat, than to just give me part of it.
I
So I don't,
I get you, but, like, I'm trying to think of it more like I mean, I get you 100%. If they wanna pay for it, like, either pay for it or don't pay for it at all. Either or give too much money, like, I understand that, and then someone being
yes,
like, "Oh, well, here's your change," like, "Oh, here's your change back," at least that's an option, but it's just awkward because if you get the money from them, I feel like I've been in a similar situation. Like I got the money back and I'm just like, but this does not even cover it. Like, thank you,
Yes.
but I no thank you. But I see what you mean. I mean, regardless, like that's cool that they gave you some money, but I mean, in your situation with a coworker, if it was $1 pizza, come on. Like,
I think the
you
slice
should
was
have just
like
been like, "Thank you."
2. I know, I'm just like, "Just do it." Or was it a hot dog? I don't know. I think the hot dog thing was like a dollar 50. I remember it was like loose change. It happened a couple times, and
Mhm.
she always like sometimes she was a couple cents short, like, I was like, "The hot dog, I think it was like a dollar 50 at Costco with a drink," and then she gave me like a dollar, and I'm like I remember I said it one time, I mentioned it. I was like, "So it was like a dollar, like a little more than a dollar, I think a dollar 50." And then she was all like and she tried to look for her change, and then she only gave me like
Mhm.
25 cents, and I'm like, "This is even worse because now you only pay me a dollar 25 versus a dollar 50 or a dollar." I'm like, I could just cover. I it's just this never ending struggle. I'm like, uh, and
You're like,
I
"Please
totally agree
stop."
with paying extra, like, that's what I always do if somebody is picking up the food, because they took their
Mhm.
time out of the day, they spending their gas, they're going out of their way, so paying over is not a problem, but paying under, I hate. You shouldn't pay under. That's not something you should
Never pay
do.
under.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a
Pro
big
tip if
one
you're
for
ever with
me.
Jacqueline, don't pay under. Or just let her pay for your food if she offers it.
I
But
have no
if she offers
problem.
it, don't say no. Also,
I
don't
have
force her to
no
eat.
problem, like, if I say I got it, I got it, like, I have no problem paying for it. If I don't have it, I'm not gonna say anything, I'll be like, "Okay, how much was my meal?"
Oh, of
Like,
course.
I would do that,
You're like,
but
"How much is it?" "Okay, and this is the leftover amount."
yeah. So that was some of our pet peeves, so please leave a comment down below with some of your pet peeves, and if there's any of our pet peeves that you also relate with, please also mention down below. But thank you for
Mhm.
listening to this week's episode, and we hope to see you guys next week on Monday at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
see you guys next week.